He met her at the university to return her books, which left her wondering at his sudden change of heart. Meanwhile, Wazi also intended to step back from Shan Cai because Dao Ming was his old friend, but he didn't want to tell him right away, wanting him to suffer a little and understand her value. One day, Dao Ming announced to his friends that he was moving to London to settle there. Wazi overheard and told him, "Don't worry, I'm not leaving because of you." At that moment, Shan Cai came in, visibly upset by Dao Ming's departure. So he decided to tease her more by saying, "Here's your chance to date him freely. I don't mind." She walked off in frustration, wishing he'd go off and enjoy himself with the blondes in London. She had recently started working at a Frankie's restaurant, and while she was distracted by thoughts of Dao Ming's words, she accidentally burned herself. Tian, her co-worker, rushed over to put some gauze and cotton on her burn. Suddenly, a girl told her that there was a man outside who was causing a scene and refusing to leave until he saw her. Frankie, the manager, told Dao Ming this was a place of work and he couldn't act like that. And Shan Cai tried to say the same to get him to leave. But Dao Ming grabbed her hand and Frankie asked, "Who are you exactly to take her away?" Another fight almost broke out, but Shan Cai stopped it, telling Dao Ming to quit his behavior. Annoyed, he called himself an idiot for coming to say goodbye before leaving, then walked away, determined not to return. At the airport, Wazi went to say something important to Dao Ming before he boarded. On the plane, Dao Ming fumed quietly, even wanting to leave mid-flight. But his sister slapped him, asking, "Where do you think you're going? This isn't bus number 6. When they arrived in London, Dao Ming was stomping around, wanting to go back, after Wazi admitted nothing had happened between him and Shan Cai, and that he'd realized she actually loved Dao Ming. Dao Ming tried calling Shan Cai at the restaurant, saying her dad wanted her home urgently. But when she found out it was him, she hung up. She thought he should enjoy himself in London instead. The next day at work, everyone was tense because Tian had a big cooking test that day, and he had to prepare fish. He'd left the food on the stove too long, so it was ruined, and time was running out before the chef came to taste it. Shan Cai stepped in to help him save the dish. But the sauce would take way too long to prepare. She remembered once using cameo leaves as a substitute for sauce, and suggested Tian buy some quickly while she started fixing the dish. She rushed out to buy the leaves, but on her way back, someone bumped into her, causing her to drop them, and another person even stepped on them. Luckily, she found a lady selling cameo leaves and bought some in time. She returned to the restaurant just as the chef came to taste the food, and thankfully, the chef loved the dish. The next day, Tian went to buy cameo leaves from the shop he frequented and noticed Shan Cai's card. Apparently, she hadn't been able to pay for the leaves because they were too expensive. So, she had left her card as collateral until she could come back and pay later. The shop assistant mentioned to him that she had also been in an accident recently, which made her seem even more admirable in his eyes. To thank her, Tian invited her to a meal, and they talked about their lives. He told her that his mother had passed away, and that he lived with his father, but was fighting hard to get through life. He felt they were similar, both struggling through hardships. After dinner, he walked her home and asked her to stay by his side whenever he was cooking. Of course, she took it as helping him in the kitchen, but then Dao Ming showed up and interrupted, saying, "Oh, sweetie, he doesn't just want you to help him cook. He wants you as his future girlfriend." He added that before she got too invested, she should know that Tian was the heir to a huge Chinese pharmaceutical company and was only pretending to be poor. She felt deceived by Tian's pretense and told him he had trivialized her own struggles. Tian explained he wasn't trying to downplay her difficulties. He was simply trying to fight back against his father. Dao Ming then barged into her home, claiming he'd come back from London to save her from being fooled. When her mother came out to welcome Dao Ming, her father was delighted to see him as well and offered him to rest in the guest room. But Dao Ming confidently walked into Shan Cai's room instead. She told him to get off her bed and stop taking over her space, but he just shrugged, saying, "What if I get thirsty? Who's going to bring me water?" He teased her further, asking if she'd held Tian's hand. Shan Cai denied it and told him to back off. The next day, as Shan Cai was changing in the bathroom, Dao Ming walked in without knocking, as if it were a barn. And even her mother came in after. Seeing them in an awkward position, her mom decided to lock the door on them, playfully saying, "Oops." Later at the restaurant, Shan Cai helped Tian again. He explained the misunderstanding, saying he only wanted people to value him for who he was, not for his wealth. She understood his point and wasn't angry anymore. When Shan Cai got home, her family was in a frenzy because her father had lost 1,000,000 yuan in an investment and faced jail time if they couldn't pay it back. Her mother was crying, not caring about wealth, but worried that he wouldn't be there with them. Dao Ming saw her mom crying and decided to help, handing Shan Cai his credit card. She refused, but he asked if she wanted her dad to go to jail, insisting she could pay it back later. Shan Cai, unsure how she could repay such a huge amount, hesitated, so Dao Ming told her to meet him after university the next day. After class, she went to his place and he stepped closer, suggesting a faster way to repay him. She slapped him, tearfully saying, "I'm an honorable woman. Take your money. I don't need it." He laughed, telling her to stop thinking the worst of him. His plan was for her to enter a cooking competition, where the winner would receive 1,000,000 yuan. As she looked over the entry requirements, he kept teasing her and pulled her closer, making her realize just how manipulative he could be. Then he told her to pay him back, but not to forget the interest. She asked how much he wanted, but all he requested was a kiss on the cheek. Honestly, if it were me, I'd slap him and run. But she kissed him quickly and ran off, still playing the role of the helpless damsel. My sister decided to help train her more for the competition, since she also worked in the culinary field, and even invited her to stay with them for a while. A real recovery retreat for her. At night, he would gaze at her beauty while she slept, deprived of her presence during the day. She started cooking for him to taste her dishes, feeling like she'd become a top chef. But one day, Tian told her that his father wanted him to marry a rich girl named Sena, who loved him, though he didn't feel the same way. It turned out Sena was also entering the competition to impress him, which made Shan Cai feel like she'd never win. She packed her bags and tried to leave Dao Ming's house, but he stopped her and said, "Where do you think you're going? You're just using this as an excuse to run away." She told him to stay out of it, that she'd pay him back the money since she wouldn't win anyway and was letting everyone down. "By doing this, you're disappointing me, too." He dragged her to his room, but she resisted. He reassured her, "Come on, I'm not going to kidnap you," and brought her some water. Then he suggested they play a bit, but with honorable intentions, just a card game. When she lost, he drew on her face, but stopped as he watched her close her eyes, savoring the moment. Suddenly, he leaned in and told her to have more confidence. He was certain she could win the competition. As he got close, he realized she was even more beautiful up close. The next morning, he tried to take a picture of her while she was sleeping so he could tease her later. When she woke up and found out, she yelled at him, demanding he delete the awful photo. On the day of the competition, she was ready, and Dao Ming and his friends sat watching, confident in her abilities. The judges tasted each dish to decide who would make it to the next round, choosing 6 contestants, including Shan Cai. In the next round, they had to prepare pastries. Sena's pastries impressed the judges, but when they tasted Shan Cai's, they found them unusual. She remembered Dao Ming's sister's advice to be confident, so she told the judges to take a picture of her. After the judges, her recipe was inspired by a woman who made it for her sick husband, filled with the care and love she put into it. Moved, the judges appreciated her personal touch and announced the 3 finalists, including Shan Cai. The final round was tougher. They had only 45 minutes to finish the dish. Shan Cai felt anxious, but Dao Ming, in his usual loud way, encouraged her to focus and pick her ingredients quickly since time was running out. After the judges tasted each dish, they were impressed by Sena's recipe, but found Shan Cai's recipe to be more interesting. Shan Cai's dish to be a simple one that anyone could make. Unfortunately, Sena was announced as the first place winner. However, the judges made an exception this time and awarded Shan Cai 500,000 yuan for her hard work and impressive cooking skills. Shan Cai was ecstatic, thanking everyone who supported her. At Dao Ming's house, they celebrated together. Shan Cai thanked them all for their support, and Dao Ming decided to ask her out for the next day in front of everyone. Embarrassed by the public invitation, she suggested they all go out as a group, but one by one, the others made excuses to leave them alone. Dao Ming turned to her and said, "See? Looks like I'm the only one left for you." The next day, she was on her way to meet him, but saw a young boy who had fallen. She helped him up, and he handed her a note from his mom, who happened to be her neighbor. The note explained that his mother had to leave for work and asked if she could look after him. He commented that not only was she late, but she'd brought a kid along. She apologized, asking him to put up with it for a while, so they took the boy to the zoo. Dao Ming realized she was more focused on the boy than him, which made him feel a little neglected. At one point, the boy commented on how ugly a monkey looked, and Dao Ming joked, "Not as ugly as you," but was kind enough to carry the boy on his shoulders so he could see the animals better. When the boy eventually fell asleep, she tried to take his teddy bear so he could rest comfortably. She then asked Dao Ming why he always helped her and spent time with her. Exasperated, he finally blurted out, "I'm honestly tired of dealing with your cluelessness," and walked off, leaving her with the boy. He was probably right. If only she'd understood him better. At work later, her boss sent her to meet a group of handsome customers who wanted something from her. She tried to brush them off, saying she was busy, but they insisted on helping her with her tasks in exchange for a favor. They charmed the girls into coming in to shop, proving that good looks are excellent marketing. Because of the high sales that day, she and her friend received a bonus. Her friends teased her about coming with them to Canada, saying she had no excuse now, but she hesitated, thinking about her argument with Dao Ming and how awkward it would be to run into him there. That night, Dao Ming called her, mentioning he'd heard she was planning to go to Canada, and telling her he didn't think she should go unless he was going too. She replied that he should mind his own business and posted a photo with her friend, adding a caption about how nice it was that annoying people weren't coming along. Determined to keep her friends from crashing her trip, she hinted to them that her dad hadn't exactly paid for this, so they couldn't just barge in. But they cheekily responded. When they arrived in Canada, guess who they saw waiting for them? Yes, Dao Ming himself. She stayed silent, glaring at him, and they continued with the trip, while her friend teased them to stop the cheap flirting.